basically what we did was we just passed something about 3 weeks, well, last 2 weeks ago, we passed a sign ordinance to add to our housing code enforcement, to enforce to get these dilapidated signs off and off these properties. So that's something that we just picked up, and it's in effect in sign, so our housing code will go out just like doing any other inspections, and we're holding landowners responsible for getting it. And if we have to take them down, we're gonna abate that property and hold a tax on that. So we just passed that.
Some of the signs, like the Alabama Fair Festival signs and the highway and stuff, they're so faded and stuff. It looks like something that maybe a decade ago, there used to be a Shakespeare festival here, but it's obviously not here because otherwise the signs should be maintained. Is there any program that, because like I work with economic development, and your first impressions from through is like, I'm here from Greenville, South Carolina. If you're familiar with Greenville, Greenville's just boom. It is. Right. And you get here, and it's just, there's a lot of potential here, but you just feel like things are going down if you don't research things, because it's just not obvious passing through.
Yeah. Councilman, can you just let them know that someone's taking notes and some of these things will be?
Yeah. Let me introduce the Sanders. Asante Sanders is the council intern. She's been coming. She does a great job getting these notes and getting the stuff back to us. So I got paper from our last meeting that we could talk about on some of the same questions, but she does a great job to hear. That's the point that we'll pick up. You know, we might need someone to just every day look at these signs and kind of market Montgomery. That's something that we can bring back and we can work toward that.
Very good point. Father?
Pastor.
Pastor.
Yeah. I did the college. Ma'am, I want to echo what you said. I got chased by a dog in my morning run yesterday, so bravo. I live in your district, Councilman Calhoun, although I pastor in, I think it's Councilman Jim Wright's district.
Okay.
My church is one that believes deeply in the unconditional love of God, and how that applies to everybody, and how our God, our Creator, just doesn't make mistakes with the creation God made. As such, we advocate for and proudly support the LGBTQ community here in the River region. We are aware that there is a potential change to the NDO, City Non-Discrimination Ordinance, if I'm right, to include gender identity and expression in what we consider non-discrimination class. I have transgender people in my congregation. I know that transgender youth are more likely to die by suicide, more likely to be homeless than their counterparts. I know transgender adults are more likely to be evicted from homes and to be victims of domestic partner abuse than their counterparts. I think it makes sense if Montgomery wants to move forward to be a place that is welcoming to all people and includes those who are victims just by being who they are, what God created them to be. And I would hope that the council would support. So I'm curious, where's the council on that inclusion, and do we expect to see that pass? I think it's the next meeting or soon afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pastor, for that question.
Sorry for the sermon.
That's no problem.
Not Sunday, but you know.
We're going to take an offering after that.
Hey, I'll step out. The leadership have to step up and answer questions. Right now, that's something that just came to us on Saturday. I know it hit the newspaper. It's being discussed right now. We carried it over past Tuesday. It needs to be discussed by the council, because when it first came out, what we originally saw, I don't think we had the support to pass it. So I asked that we carry it over for 2 weeks so I can get the council together to discuss what we do, if we need to add in amendments before we move forward. I agree. I think everybody should be created equal. You know, God created us all, so we have to look at things as we move forward. It's a tough decision. It's going to be a decision whether we make the decision, say we're going to support it, or we don't. We're going to get mixed emotions from our community, so we just got to do what's right. And we'll do what our constituents say, and we'll talk amongst the 8 members right now. Unless something big happens on the 13th, which is Tuesday, we'll have 9, and we'll come up with what the right decision is from there. That's right. And it will be a public hearing on the next meeting, which is the 17th. Yes. The 17th, so it'll be open. I know we don't usually get a packed house at the city council, but it was packed on Tuesday, so we wanted to get the people back out, so we carried over. Well, we're discussing that right now. We're receiving on the 13th, which was Saturday.
I was told that there were voices that spoke in strong opposition with language of faith that, in my mind, is really hateful and demeaning. And so I wanted to come here today so that you would know there were voices of faith that are strongly in support of protecting God's children who are our neighbors, friends, and
we only had one person to speak, and I didn't think it was in a negative way. Just, you know, but we're working.
Ma'am?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to say thank you to CC for everything that you do for the Seth Council.
Thank you.
Appreciate it all the time. mother unfortunately has some other engagements. She couldn't be here today, but we love her to death, by the way.
Yeah.
One of our main concerns, and one of all of our main concerns, is speeding on the roadways, down Maryland Road, Eastern Boulevard. I think they think it's 0 to 60, and Fast and Furious 27. What is the plan or the process or the current process, and how are we going to help enforce that? Also, the slow response times with the PD. I know they were overwhelmed this past holiday weekend extremely, but even on some standard issues, just maybe when it's not a holiday weekend, the response time is up to 45 minutes to an hour. So is there any plans in place, or is there any assistance needed from the community to improve that?
Well, I'm gonna let the other Calhoun address that. That's fine. It's Calhoun.
Lieutenant Cole.
Let me say this as he comes, and just not to be critical, you know, with everything when it comes to enforcement, it's about leadership. We had a change in leadership in our police department. I think some of the things changed. You look at over the last a year and a half, you know, we had no, I didn't think we wrote any speed tickets, but we had no motorcycle cops that use speed guns, no had any speed checks. So I think that's something up under the new leadership, which the chief dean brought back, that we're out on the motorcycle to do these speed checks. So we get concerns, it calls every district about drag racing, about speed and response time. But you know, we got to work to support our police department on the things that they do, and it's about where the leadership comes. He's the supervisor over this area, so he can talk about the response time and what the deal is.
Yes,
He got on his vest.
One thing about it, some calls are placed for priority. That could be one thing. We could have a high priority call at the time, the rest of response time. But at any time, when you call in, you can definitely get a supervisor to respond out, and you can definitely express your concerns. Now, in order to combat with the speed, just give us a call, and we can set up a detail in the area to try to combat the speed, like with certain times of the day, certain times of the night. That way we can allocate the right manpower for that time frame.
Okay, well, I've done that already, and there has not been any improvement.
Okay, and definitely get with me, and then we can see about trying to reset that up.
I'll see you.
Ma'am, you had a question?
I just wanted to reinforce what the pastor said. You know, expanding the non-discrimination ordinance is important, not just to city employees, but to the employees and the residents of Montgomery who deserve protections against discrimination. So it is worthy of consideration. We encourage you to vote in favor of expanding the NDO, and we look forward to seeing it at City Hall.
Okay. All right. I just see Chief Jenny Reeves come in.
Yeah.
David?
Yes, sir, how are you?
She just thought that question.
She's just. Lieutenant took care of it. Sir?
Hey, Adam Whitley, I live in District 7, have a place of business in District 9. Throughout the years, I've seen the panhandling at the interstates, the exits, get worse and worse and worse. And it's gotten to a point now where they're just becoming trash hubs. You know, and I know District 9 isn't represented here today, but I have a place of business off of Monticello, and at the bypass there at exit 6, any time of the day you can count 4 or 5 at each side. Makes for interesting conversations with kids in the car when you're sitting there and someone's right on your window. Is there anything in place, or any talks of kind of what to do in this situation? It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Adam, that's a great question, and every single district. Oh, Chief, yes, first.
So, when it comes to panhandling, we unfortunately aren't able to arrest for that. Can you hear me?
No.
Sorry.
Use that command voice.
We're unfortunately not able to make an arrest on panhandling. However, we have developed a crisis intervention team that when we see this and you guys call us and tell us that there's a panhandler, we send them out, and what we try and do is try and get them shelter. We try and, provide resources that they may need in order to be able to get them off of the streets right there. So if they're on private property, and it is your business, and if you would like to make an arrest for criminal trespass, we are able to do that. And if you have a continual problem, I do encourage, for that to happen. However, what we really try and do is address the problem, which is homelessness and need for, unfortunately, some folks are, mentally unstable, so we try and get them some assistance that way.
Yeah.
So please, I'll give you guys my
Thank you.
card, you can call me, and if you see it, we'll send them out there to try and work on that.
Thanks, Chief.
That's a great answer.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, I just had like a question in the comment. What about the panhandlers who aren't homeless? Because I live in this 3 off Ann Street, and I see them walking in the neighborhood with the sign in their hand to go to the corner, then come back.
Those are the
A lot of them aren't homeless.
We'll be trying
Like
to
90% of them ain't
not
homeless.
to be in that area, okay? And, sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 times us going out there before they finally realize, hey, I can't stand on this corner. So it's just something that we have to address continually, and we encourage you to call it in, let us know so that we know where we need to, kind of look at it.
Yeah, because it's like if I'm homeless, why I got a water cooler, a permanent marker. Think about it, y'all.
They stand out there 6 hours in the heat, that's a job. I'd rather them do that than break in my house. So look, if you stand out there 6 hours in the heat, begging for change, that's a job. Shoot, go ahead. A lot of them ain't used to working like 9 to 5 hours, whatever. They want their own set schedule. They their own business on it, so.
Now guys, they are human as well, so there are exceptions. There may be an exception right there, but I like what the chief said. Chief said. Yes, thank you. What's your name?
Jenny?
Oh, Jenny.
Chief Jenny.
Okay, she said Jenny. So I like what Jenny said. So yeah, every there's an exception. So those that they have to deal with those kind of people. But there are really seriously some homeless people out there that need help.
No, but I'm not talking about them.
Representative McCinnis.
Okay.
And it seems to some people that it's almost encouraging it because we're putting trash cans out there when they put their litter in. So if we're putting accessories to assist them, it's almost as though we're advocating for them being there.
Yes.
So how do you address that?
So a couple of things, and it's kind of complex. It is a complex issue. A lot of this is a complex issue. There have been some policy changes in a year and a half. There were some lawsuits filed against the city. There's some policy changes. I think we're talking amongst ourselves to figure that out. There is an issue. I think there is a balance of treating people equally and fair. Mental health, it goes back to the COVID CARES Act funds. A big pot of that 42 million that we received, because there is guidance, there are stipulations, it's not direct earmark, but they have to qualify under, and mental health is a big piece of that. So I do believe that we can figure out a lot of creative ways to solve that. And then the third piece is on the litter side of things, Adam, and it's a great point, we get calls about it all the time. So people don't realize this, but before COVID, I think we had a work release program with prisoners to pick up litter throughout the city. And I think Conway said that we had like 20 prisoners a day picking up litter, and that stopped when COVID happened. We weren't able to exercise that program, and we've been told that comes back this month. Y'all know when
Well, it goes back with the litter and goes back to cutting these medians. If you look at it, go around the
it's the
boulevard.
grass and the trash. And so, when in the Toyota plant, when something breaks down, right, in the Toyota plant, they ask why 5 times. So, a lot of times in city government, the things that we feel every single day, the trash on the intersections, or the why is this grass not cut, there's usually a simpler solution if you ask why 5 times. And that is a really core thing that we're excited to have back, and I think everybody is going to see a difference.
Captain Bowman.
Just to add to, I'm from Hope Inspired Ministries, and while some may not be homeless, there's one guy that used to beg for money on Ann Street. Justin was his name, but he battled addictions. He came to our program, and thanks to the city of Montgomery, he's now working for the Montgomery City Public Library. There is success out there, but I would probably say 90 to 100% of them are battling mental health and addiction.
Right.
Y'all mentioned mental health, but can y'all talk about the mental health facility that's coming to Montgomery?
Yes.
And the plan to open it?
Well, they spoke before the council on Tuesday. Yes. Okay. You want to go? You got it?
Yeah, I just wanted to just add on or piggyback on that conversation about the litter in the area. I'm glad you, added the piece about COVID having, brought that to a halt somewhat. I mean, I'm talking about over the city in terms of driving, over the major thoroughfares and whatnot, because that is a very, very particularly concerning issue for me. I think Montgomery has been one of those cities that, I moved back here from Maryland and that area, this is my home. But it's been a particularly concerning issue for me in terms of just the litter across this area. And it's one of the cities that, matter of fact, I read a few years ago that Auburn ranked like third in the country in terms of being a clean city. And I know that takes a whole effort in terms of legislation in the city and everything, but that is a very, it's just like one of those issues that pops out at you if you're from, other areas or what have you. And I'm glad to know that it was exacerbated by the fact that COVID did, set in. But even prior to COVID, because I've been here now for a while, and seeing this issue across the board, and I think that there could be some additional, effort in terms of just cleaning up the city. I'm not talking about, I know there are areas that are probably worse than other areas, particularly, and the grass cutting, of the what do you call it, the easements or whatever, in terms of the balance of it. Because it just looks, the city just doesn't look as neat as it could, is what I wanted to add to that.
And before, just real quickly, because I do want him to talk about mental health. I'm working with other councilmen on creating a program. I have an idea called Litter Bingo. Basically, have outposts in different areas, in different districts, right? And so, city sponsored, but if you go into, let's say Hope Inspired Ministries and grab a trash bag and you fill that with litter with people in your community and submit that back to Hope Inspired Ministries, you get a bingo card. This is my idea. You get a bingo card, and then we have bingo night maybe once a month or once a quarter with a bunch of prizes. So we get the community engaged. It's kind of fun, but you're also solving the problem at the same time. So we're working towards things like that help combat that.
Before you get to Councilman, but to your point, ma'am, and I think this gentleman said it as well, there are some investors and some businesses, before they decide to locate a business to their community, they do a drive-through. And so if you're looking for economic development and businesses are choosing to locate here, I'm talking large manufacturers, if the city appears to not be a clean city,
absolutely,
they drive and go to the next city.
Absolutely.
So it is important.
Absolutely.
Because we all know first impressions are lasting.
And if you know there's a standard where they rank cities in terms of cleanliness,
yes.
I mean, across the nation,
so
then
it's
that tells you
important.
that.
It's
Yeah,
important.
absolutely.
And the Clean City Commission, I think, is on it.
Absolutely. And also to go with his billboard ordinance, it's also at green bin. I started an ordinance about making sure that those donation bins are being kept up. And if you go to a lot of areas, those donation bins are being taken out of content of what they're actually used for. People are breaking into them, throw mattress. So I'm working on, that ordinance is also with the billboard ordinance. So if you see it, please call 311. City inspector is gonna come out immediately, and if we have to take those off those premises, we will.
You actually passed that one.
Yes, I did.
We'll talk about the mental health.
Yes.
Okay. Mental health, it is big, even without the judicial system, the judges are here, the court system, the sheriff department, we have that issue throughout this city. Whether we say homeless, we got mental health issues. We was awarded, the mental health facility came and spoke with us this past Tuesday at the city council meeting. Montgomery was awarded out of 3 cities within the state of Alabama to get a mental health diversion center that will open up December 1st in Montgomery. And that's gonna be a big help. I think it was 40 beds that we will have that we can direct people to. And that'll help get some of these people off the street. We're looking to try to fund that in this year's budget on an ongoing process through the city and the county to try to help with some of these issues, to try to help get these people to it in the right direction to try to help them. So that's something that we work. We know that's a big issue. Like with anything else, it takes funding, but we want to put that on our top priority to try to address that issue within the city of Montgomery.
Was that include addiction counseling?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Sheriff, you want to go ahead and talk about the.
He talks about this all the time.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just listening, but yeah, we did get awarded that. We're one of 3 cities, but the main thing that we need to realize is it's going to be located on Carmichael Road. It's not just for us, law enforcement. It's for people that have family members that suffer and get in a crisis mode for them to be able to take them there. What we're starting to see is once a person get in crisis mode, family members can't control it, they call law enforcement for us to put them in jail. Jail ain't the place for them. You know, now we got a center, and you know your loved ones. You know if you're not taking the meds, you know if they're not taking the meds. You can see it. You'll start seeing the reactions. That's when you reach out for help. Right now, we got an on-call crisis unit that'll come to your house. But the loved ones gotta call and say, hey, look, my family member is off of his meds, can you come out? And they'll come out and respond and help that person get back on their meds. And that's our main problem that we're starting to see a lot of. We wait until it's too late, and then once it's too late, then we end up putting them in jail. And then we gotta try to get them into a mental health court and try to get this. The process is there, and the grant that we got now, they're coming to the city and the county to help offset that, because they gotta renovate the building. And you're right, I've been screaming about it, because all we got is 15 beds, because that's Medicaid rules. And I always ask, well, who made those rules? You know, you look at the crisis that we're in, it didn't just happen overnight. Alabama shut down 5 of their mental health hospitals, and we released them back into the community because we said a community-based program is a better program. That ain't the case. Some people, we're gonna have to keep them into a facility to make sure they get the meds and make sure they're getting the treatment that they need. So we're in a crisis mode, not only locally, but it's nationwide, and we're starting to see it. But we ain't seen the problem yet. Our military is coming back. Those people suffer PTSD. After COVID, people lost their finances, lost their jobs. You're gonna see a mental health crisis that we've never seen before. And if we don't get a hand on it now, I hate to tell y'all, 2 or 3 years down the road, you think we got a problem today, we're gonna have a serious problem.
Sheriff, I've done 2 funerals for overdose deaths for young women in their 20s in the past 2 months. I commend what you're doing.
Councilman, at the city council meeting Tuesday, they said that when a police officer has an interaction with someone in a mental health crisis, the average stop time is 145 minutes. So 2 hours that it takes an officer off the street to deal with that incident.
Because dealing with a mental health person is no more, you can't time it. It may take me 3 hours just to talk you down. We had him jump in and got up in a tree. And it took us 3 hours to talk him down out of the tree and to convince him to go to the hospital so he can get back on his meds. It ain't about how long and how quick, and people don't understand that. When you're dealing with a person in crisis, they're gonna be acting out. And a lot of times you just gotta sit there and listen. That's all they want is an ear. And once they get finished saying what they gotta say, just go and do whatever you want to do. But you gotta listen.
So what happens if you're taking an officer MPD off the street for that long, and this way it says we have people speed up and down the road, now we don't have enough manpower to really do the other duties that we expect as residents, right? Because if you got an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours to talk somebody out of a tree, and I call because narrow lane road and on bridge road is fast and furious, then you get no response time. So when we fix the mental health crisis, it's gonna give us more officers to deal with the other issues that you're concerned.
And that comes with the rapid crisis unit that they do have at Montgomery area mental health. They have that. But see, the information they out here, did y'all know that?
No.
Okay, that's the problem.
They made the point.
We
Call
gotta get the
them, not the
information
police,
out.
or the
You
sheriff
can call mental health. They'll come out and they'll deal with those issues. But we gotta make sure our community knows that.
Because we need to call that rapid response, because if it goes south, you know, in a situation, you know, the family member knows, that person knows, but when an officer comes on the scene, they might not know. So if it goes south, then it goes something to a reaction. Now we're in the court system, now we're marching on the street because it went the wrong way, because we didn't know who we called. What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't know that. It's Montgomery area mental health. Yeah, Montgomery area mental health.
When is the facility?
Carmichael Road.
December 1st.
Now that's a soft opening, because they still got to do the renovations. They hadn't even started that. So, yeah, that's, I'm sorry. That's a soft opening, but the crisis team is already in place.
Right.
But that leaves a huge opportunity, the county and the city, with the CARES Act money. 85 million, I'm not saying all 85 million goes to mental health. I'm a huge fan of a lot of that going, because it brings efficiencies to law enforcement, the homeless. I've even talked to the city of Lexington. They have a Love Lex program where they have 15 passenger vans where they pay homeless or panhandlers, that's a big category, to go pick up litter. So we can do sidecar programs within these programs that we're talking about, and really make it happen with
So,
funding.
so you guys do benchmark, right? So you call other cities or get with other cities
Sure,
to see what they're doing?
it's up to us, but we've called, yes, Oronde's gotten with the city of Mobile, I've been talking to the city of Lexington,
We have
we
all
do it all the
that
time.
I think we have a
Perfect, okay.
municipal conference, the end of this month that I'll be going to, so, yeah, we do.
We shop around, you know, because it's best practice.
Yes.
And also MPS has money, I think $129 million, and they got some money for mental health as well, so make sure you talk to your MPS as well,
Yes.
because they need to come in with the city and the county.
And that's what we said earlier, you know, when you look at the total, it's over $200 million. So we want to do something that's impactful for Montgomery County. So we can see it with those funding that come in.
Some people have asked online, they texted me, because they want a part of the earlier part of the conversation about trash and businesses, and also these drop-off points. How do you hold those businesses in those drop-off points for different charities that allow mattresses or allow couches and all these clothing to just be overrun in those bins?
So first of all, a lot of those businesses don't even know that they are being dropped off. Because every time I go to a business owner and say, hey, did you know those green, because most of those business owners are not here. So sometimes those green bins are put behind the building. So if your project manager or the person that owns the building don't actually come around, you don't know who gave them permission. So that's what I've been going to do. I've been finding out that they're just dropping them off there. So once we find that they're dropping off there and I get permission from the owner to remove them, the city will come out and remove them immediately.
That's what we passed, to get them removed. Get them removed. Because the problem is not the dropping off, it's people going in there, whether they're homeless, whether they're mental health, and they're pulling this stuff out. And they're leaving it out, so it's everywhere. It's just like I'm shopping in a green box. So we said in the ordinance that Mr. Mitchell brought before the table, we did with the sign, that we can come out just like in the vapor process, and remove it off the property.
Sir?
I have a question and I have a comment. One of the questions was, since Chief Finley has resigned, what is the city council's take on the community policing review board? And the comment I'm making, that I would like to make is that it's good to talk about the litter, but we gotta change the mindset of the people, that's all. Y'all can only do so much. We gotta do our part as well, so. But anyway.
Community policing. Community policing.
Hey, I think it's an ongoing process. I think they're still doing the Stop, Walk, and Talk program. It was done in Bun Park on Wednesday. It's something that I think is going to continue. I think it's a good program to get out and walk with the community. Get some, like what we're doing now. You get to meet the people on the streets and they get to talk. So I think that's something ongoing. When we talk about the police review board, it's a sticky situation. It's there, we have it in committee, we're looking at it. It was something I say I've been around since '03. It came up in '05, it came up again in '09. We never could get it out. One of my things when I think about it, those guys right there, we're talking about a police review board on our officers on the street, but the criminal don't have a review board.
Right.
You know, I don't want them looking on the show, so it's something that you want to do. Everybody wants to go and come home. So, you know, citizen says out there, we got a few people, but I can honestly say, since we had it, I haven't received, it's the first question I got about it. Okay. No one received it, you know, so I don't know where the idea came up. It comes up every political cycle, but it's something that we have to address. Yeah.
Sir?
I know you guys, I'm talking about the council, I know you guys are looking into it, but could you please keep pushing the apartment complex, holding them accountable for the actions that happens in their area, because all it does is just bring bad stuff to neighborhoods and areas and all that kind of stuff. But could you plelease keep pushing that?
Yeah, we are. I commend Councilman Mitchell for bringing that idea, and you know, we had the work, what we call it, ad hoc committee on it. We had one apartment complex to attend out of the 14 that was invited. So I'm a firm believer, if you can't get people, like you say, you got to train the people. So I think we got them coming 3 at a time at our next 4 or 5 council meetings to talk about why are you not, and revoke your business license. So when I hit you in your pocket, then you're gonna confirm to what we're asking you to do, but what's gonna come from that, and you're gonna have a pushback. Because now when you start closing apartment complexes, people gonna say, well, you're putting the people on the street. But we're just trying to get the owners to respect what we're asking you to do within our community. Yeah, that's what we are.
And on top of that, and I do commend Oronde, he's really put a lot of work into that. And I think it's incumbent to us, and this is what I want to do in the second half, it's half time, like I said, kind of pick up where Tracy Larkin left off. He introduced an ordinance about rental properties and apartments, and there was a lot in that. That was kind of before I got on the council. I think there's a lot of good stuff. I think there's some stuff that wasn't agreed upon by everybody. And we've got to do a better job, not only in those apartment complexes, and hold the owners and the management company accountable, that's the word, accountability, but also single-family homes, absentee landlords that live out of town. I don't know if that looks like everybody that has over 5 apartment rental properties has to have a business license, because it's a layered cake scenario. We can't hold them accountable on the city council level unless there's teeth. You can't pull somebody into a show cause hearing. You can for a club because they have a liquor license, they've got a business license, they've got all these things that they have to operate. No one says that anyone here can't just go buy rental properties and be a terrible landlord, right? Yeah. That's not a good layer of accountability. So we're researching what other cities are doing, and we're going to be looking at that and trying to amend some of the ordinance.
Now you brought this to my attention. Didn't you say we had ordinance on
disruptive property ordinance?
Yes. Can you explain to
Yes. So I've done it a handful of times. Chief Reeves has been very helpful. It is government, you should have a lot of different levels to go through, but it is kind of a lengthy process. But basically, I've had a handful. I'm sure you've had a handful. We all have disruptive properties. Those properties that we get calls on every week. They don't care. They don't need nobody. The cops come out, whatever. We all get it, okay? Well, in the disruptive property ordinance, we basically asked the police department how many 911 calls have been associated with this property or the vicinity about this property. If it hits a certain level of egregiousness, then we have to go through a process with legal to send them a certified letter that basically says, if you don't rectify this situation, we can take you to municipal court, right? So then, that takes time, but that's a level of accountability. But I think we can streamline that process better, and that's what we've all got to work together in the second half with rental properties, with disruptive properties, and kind of bundle it into a more efficient process. And I think we would definitely all do.
And that will come with our municipal court having a dedicated judge in the court to just hear those cases.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something that we're working on long term.
All right. We got about 10 minutes remaining, because we want to be respectful of your time. Chief Reeves, you had something you want to say?
No, I just wanted to point out that we're working with Councilman Mitchell and City Council in regards to apartment complexes. And we really appreciate that they're willing to stand behind us to help us with that. And with the, nuisance properties and stuff, it is a process, but I am glad that we are pushing forward to try and put a little bit more in it so that we can hold folks more accountable for, causing a disturbance within the neighborhood. There's folks that have lived in places 20, 30 years, and the rental property comes in, now all of a sudden there's all this disruptive. So we appreciate that, and we're willing to do whatever we need to as a police department. So.
Thank you. Councilor Bolt?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for coming to the community and doing what you're doing. Want to commend Hyundai for doing what he's doing for you. I have two questions that I want to ask you. I know Alan and the leagues over here, with all of the funding that we have, and I commend the league that we have, because I did it 30 years ago. I know what you're going through with that. With all the funding we have, through the PPP and all this money that we have, these grants, are we setting some aside for activities for our kids to be able to, not short term, but long term, be able to support some of the programs we have, even like a police athletic league or something like that, where now we're going to upgrade, are we partnering with I hear you can say our school system to do some of the things that actually will accent what we have. And I'm saying this because I know what's going on outside. I know what's going on in Millbrook and Elmore County. What are we doing actually to work together as a city? I know the county is not, but can you elaborate on some of the things that we have in long term?
So I talked to Doug on yesterday, He's setting a proposal, and we will get with Charles, with the Montgomery mentor. We will go in front of the Board of Education to see what type of funding, because I feel like a mentoring program needs to be in every school. I watched Mr. Lee at Fuse and I saw what it did to those group of young men that he took up under his wing at Fuse. And I always thought that every school should have a mentoring program. So we will be going in front of the board to see can we get money and make sure that there's a mentoring program. If it's not kids, I want a mentoring program in every Montgomery public school system and be funded by the school system.
I guess past mentoring is actually like the athletic league, some of the things, because the athletic part is in the dump, I'll be honest with you. But what are we doing to accent those kids that can't necessarily, like what you're doing with the basketball league over here? Not just in this area, but throughout the city. Is there something going on with
We've been talking about bringing the city back into middle school for sponsoring, because when the city had middle school, Park and Rec, you had good coaches because they were getting paid good. You had great athletes.
They're getting a raise now. We've been fighting with that. They are getting a raise, but the problem is you got the same people that were coaching getting the raise.
And Alan, that's a great question. And what we're doing, and I was adamant against it 19 years ago when it happened, when we turned over the middle school or junior high school athletic programs to the school board. It was something that they couldn't long-term fund. We gave it with a $3 million carrot, and after 2 years, it was over. So with this money that they're getting and the city's getting, we're in discussion to talk about basically getting the city back in it through our park and recreation, kind of manage that program where we can have kids not paying those fees up front. But it's an ongoing conversation. We got to get the school board involved and saying, hey, we will take it back, but they're gonna have to put money up. Because with any of these programs, you're looking at equipment and all those things. So it's something that we're discussing as a council. We're trying to put it, the CARES Act will be something that can help us with this program to sustain it. So that's something that we're working on. I just thought it was the worst thing the city ever could have did years ago, but now we got to fish it back out to get it right.
Is Charles Lee still here? Charles, did he? Yeah. Until that time, Charles has that's my dog. But until that time, Charles has the Men of Montgomery mentoring program. He has a bunch of committed men that have volunteered and stepped in that's willing to mentor young men. So until you can get this other program rolling, we encourage people to support what you're doing.
Why already have that program as well?
No, we partner with the Y. So we partner with the Y, the Boys and Girls Club, City of Montgomery Parks and Recs or whatever. So everyone was trying to do it individually. And it's hard to do it individually because you can't hold people on the north side accountable for mentoring people on the west side. So our goal was for all the organizations to come together and do it collectively. So it's not a my program, not a his program, it's our program. So we can hold everyone in the city accountable for what mentorship look like. So if somebody comes and say, Willie Durham, have you seen the crime in East Montgomery? We're like, hey, have you heard of the citywide mentoring program? Maybe it's missing you, let's get involved. And so it comes in different shapes because we all, even with the Y and me, I put kids to work, and the Y does, different things or whatever. So we got to come together when it comes to mentorship because every young person deserves to have somebody in their corner that they can hold accountable.
Hey, Charles,
after this, Mike Jackson, you had something?
Hey,
you want to take your mask down so we can hear you? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I think a lot of these young men right here, because he helping us keep this crime and find out who's doing the crime in Montgomery. So, if the city can help give him some more and more money to run the program. I know he did a program one time down at the Gateway, and we walked around with buckets and got people that sitting at a concert now that would be out here doing stuff, help donate money to help fight crime in Montgomery. So we need to try to keep him pushed up and keep him motivated because he's doing a great job as long as he's been doing this program.
Tony Garrett, yes, sir.
Let me speak on Tony Garrett. Tony Garrett and I, we have worked on pretty much every homicide in my district that was unsolved. He called me, or I called him, or the family reached out to him. So when I say, man, a great organization, great program, and I will fully and always support Crime Stoppers. So thank you for what you're doing in the city of Montgomery.
We got 2 minutes left. One of the things I'm probably most impressed about this whole meeting, we've been here for almost an hour, and crime has not even come up as an issue. We've heard more about trash, we've heard more about other things. So when people say Montgomery has a lot of crime, it's really just not true. We have some crime, but this is not a crime-ridden city. Mayor Reed says statistically, crime is down.
Yep.
Now, we have murders.
Not violent.
About violent crime, yeah, not violent. But so when people talk about crime, we need to be careful that we're not
Thank you.
down in our city so much that people now are being encouraged to move away because we'll take when Pookie killed Junebug and it's a personal beef. You can have a police on every corner. It's not going to prevent that. Crimes of passion or crimes of anger. So we need to be careful when we talk about crime in a negative way.
Everybody that's in this room taking value. We are the ambassadors for Montgomery. Right. And the way we spread our story, the way we do it, recruitment, how we get things in, and where we grow our city. We go, you can go to Atlanta. Everybody got it. But you know, I talk radio. Yeah. You know, I don't even pay no attention. Everybody on talk radio got a solution on how we can solve all the problems in the world. Yes. But it's just talk. This is where the work gets done right here. Right. So this is where we work. So you know, you listen at that and like you say, riding through and listen at radio and you basking your talent and you wonder why when we go out to recruit these things, it's so tough. It's like we're trying to we're hiding, but we're not. You know, so we just got to work together, and I appreciate you guys coming out, you know, to just share your thoughts and how we move forward with this, because this is what it's all about. It takes all of us working together to make Montgomery what we want it to be.
That's right.
So, closing comments.
You want to marry Clay?
On behalf of Leonard Speed, the director, he informed me to present Roy McKay, and I think Anthony walked in from the order director of Montgomery, YMC Collier Road. Mr. Speed, so we informed to be blessed to be here to give you this. Thank you for waiting on
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
I was gonna tell you what I learned this morning. I don't have but one person I have to keep happy, and that's her. But what I learned is my concerns are not your concerns. Your concerns are not his concerns. But yet we all bring our concerns to these gentlemen. And we expect them to be able to address every one of our concerns immediately, because that's me. And my concern is different. And I have a new appreciation for what they do.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, they can't solve everybody's problems.
Say it again.
When they want it, the way they want it.
Say it again.
But how many of us are willing to stand up and step up and try to do it? To answer the phone every day, to stay calm, to stay patient.
Right.
And I have an appreciation for what they do, and I think we all do. Let's give them a round of applause.
I'm going to go around. Sheriff, I'm sorry. We talk about crime. Can you talk a little bit about your outlook on crime?
Sure.
Well, I'm not the camera, so but my outlook on crime is violent crime is up.
Yes.
It's up. That's up nationwide. And it's going to take all of us. You know, I always tell people every time I go out, you're our eyes, you're our ears, and we don't know unless you call and tell us. But it behooves us in law enforcement to push back from our desk and come out here and see what's going on and to listen to you all. Because that's the only way I learn stuff. That's the only way I know what's going on, is because I don't mind coming and sitting and listening and then taking it back and saying, hey, we need to address this issue. And there's a lot of questions that you all have, a lot of things that you all brought up that we can learn from that. And with me, I believe in giving back to our youth and our seniors, because our youth is our future. And if we don't develop Montgomery the way we want it to be, our future is dead. So we got to continue to do that for our youth. And police athletic leagues and all that stuff, everybody know I'm 100% behind. I've been trying to jump on that for years. And it ain't really that, it's being able to get the families to be able to bring us inside, and to be able to bring us inside so that we'll be able to mentor and to be able to deal with our youth on the positive side. And but it takes us to be willing to do that. And you gotta have a clean, loving heart. You gotta let kids know that you love them and you appreciate it. And that's what we're trying to
Hi, I'm Anthony Williams. I'm with Midtown YMCA Volunteer Board. I live over in this area too. And I just want to commend everyone who's here, because the way we're going to solve all our problems is by coming together. And Rondé, CC, Clay, Willie, creating opportunities for us to come together, realize that we are more alike than we are different, and the good people in our community far outweigh the bad. And so, with that in mind, Midtown Y is on board with supporting this community and everything that's going on here. We've got a big event coming August 21st, our tailgate barbecue competition, and we want all of you to play a part, be a role, be involved, and come together with us and just get together and highlight and have some good barbecue. So, again, thank you all for bringing us together.
We're gonna have closing comments by each councilman. I'll start with the President Pro Tem.
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and echo what Mr. Williams said about, it takes all of us working together. It's about us working for what we can do for Montgomery and the surrounding areas. I just appreciate you coming out, spending your time with us. And like I say, I represent District 5, but all together we represent the city of Montgomery.
First of all, I'd like to thank Pro Tem for allowing myself and Clay, when he came up with this idea, I'm a people's person. So it was no doubt that I wanted to be a part. I wanted to see and hear what you couldn't say at the city council meeting. I know my good friend, Mr. Broderick in the back, he called me all the time to talk about the ditches, to talk about the grass, but it's gonna take time. When you don't have the appropriate representation for several years, it's gonna take me time to work on what my district needs in it. So please give me that opportunity to work on it, but I want you to work with me. I cannot do this by myself, and I'm not willing to do it by myself. I need you guys. I need you guys more than, y'all need me. So I need you guys. So I don't want you to ever think that the only time you will see us when it's time for election. You'll see we out here every day trying to hear your concerns, and we will not stop. Thank you.
This gets me excited. Hopefully it gets y'all excited. We're coming on the backside of COVID. We're meeting together again. We're sharing ideas. Of course, there are concerns. We all have concerns. We all have things. But keep the main thing the main thing. And there are so many great comments here. You gotta love your neighbor. And what we're trying to do with MPD and City Council and leadership of the city, trust is integrity, competency, consistency, and kindness. And if you put all those things together, we've got to trust one another. And we just trust that we're doing the best that we can. Because some days it's overwhelming. Some days we can achieve the things that we all have heard about, but trust that we are trying every single day to make this city a better place. And we trust that y'all are too, and we need to do this together. Yes. And we can go a lot farther if we can do it together. So I appreciate y'all showing up. This is an awesome event. Thank you.
I gotta mention this about this. I coached him through Southeast Y. We work together on the city council. It's full circle. Awesome. We put good work in.
He calls me 33 and I call him coach.
So, with that being said, Winston Churchill said, you make a living by what you get, but you can make a difference by what you give. And I want to thank you all for giving of your time and your talent and your service to this community. Because you're the example, by you giving of your time, you got Clay McCinnis, right? So we appreciate everybody for giving of your time to this community. And with that being said, thank Ligers for hosting this, because they said they got a lot of food. It's food, so you got to get some food before you leave. And as always, we want to thank Gumptown, because those that can't make it here,
everywhere, Gumptown, everywhere. My Cash App is $Gumptown MAG. Yeah. Really? Really?
One announcement. Our next one will be August the 6th at Gateway Park. The clubhouse, if it's a little hot, we can sit out on the patio area, and we're gonna host that, and we're gonna invite District 4 Audrey Graham will be at that one here. So the next one will be at Gateway Park. All right.
We adjourn. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry.
Thank y'all for y'all support. Our cash app is $Gumptown MAG. Gumptown MAG. $Gumptown MAG. We appreciate all your support.
Yes, and I'll say this, I approached my